We got breaking news continuing in the college football world, and after days of speculation, Miami has a new head coach. The Canes are hiring Oregon's Mario Cristobal. That, of course, confirmed by our Dennis Dodd today. Cristobal's news comes shortly after the school announced it was firing Manny Diaz this morning. Cristobal was an all-conference offensive lineman for the Canes back in the day, playing for Jimmy Johnson and Dennis Erickson and winning 2 national championships. Known for his recruiting prowess, Cristobal coached at nearby FIU before spending 5 seasons in Eugene, and the numbers add up there. Went 35-13 and 1 Rose Bowl victory. As for Diaz, he ends his tenure at the U with a 21-15 record in 3 seasons, but Cristobal kind of a homecoming for him, heading from West back to South Beach. All right, let's bring the fellas back in here. Dennis Dodd and Chip Patterson, you guys have been pretty busy. Dennis, I'll start with you. Confirming this news here, your reaction to this happened not too long ago.
Yeah, just minutes ago, Mario Cristobal told his players he is leaving for Miami, ending really days of speculation. As recently as yesterday, I was texting him, and he told me he was conflicted. He didn't know whether, to go back home to Miami or stay at Oregon, where he'd built something. And really the best program in the Pac-12 on the West Coast. And we'll see how that goes going forward. But for Miami, this is probably the best thing they could do. They get a native son. They get a guy who played there, has rings in his drawer. And I think something we're overlooking, guys, is when he was at Alabama as the offensive line coach and then moved to tight ends, he recruited some of the biggest names that you can think of in this recent run by Alabama. Tua, Alex Leatherwood, they just roll off the tongue. These are guys he was directly involved in recruiting, and that's his strength. That's why he got the job at Oregon after Willie Taggart left so soon after 1 year. He is a recruiter, and if there's something Miami needs, or any program it needs, as its lifeblood, is recruiting. And he's going to get down there. I don't know if it matters or he can throw a fence up around South Florida. He just needs players. And that's what, and Miami has a good base, as Chip mentioned earlier. They've got players, they've got to get better, and they want to win championships.
Dennis, I'm so glad that you mentioned Alabama and recruiting, because there's a phrase that gets used a lot, and we've talked about it on the Cover 3 podcast. It is the Nick Saban playbook. I'm sure recruiting is important in all of Power 5 football if you want to be successful. But there is the Nick Saban playbook where recruiting is a part of every meeting. Recruiting is a part of every conversation. Recruiting is always around. Even when you're trying to game plan, you never quite stop the idea that you are always worried about the next class and the class after that. And that is something that I think Mario Cristobal brought to Oregon in order to really level up their talent. You look at the 24/7 Sports profile, some of the highest rated recruits to go to Oregon in the recruiting database history have all been under Mario Cristobal. And so he comes in and he has the opportunity to bring that same approach, to bring that Nick Saban playbook to recruiting and really instill it at Miami, where every single meeting, every single day, always has some aspect of it that is dedicated towards looking into the future and trying to secure the best talent for the future of Hurricanes football. The homecoming is going to create a lot of buzz around an alumni that have often been divisive and not always supported the head coach. But I also want to bring it to this point. What the success that we saw from Mario Cristobal at Oregon will not be enough at Miami. Not with this kind of paycheck, not with these kind of expectations, not with the effort that it took and the investment that it took to buy out Manny Diaz and to bring in Mario Cristobal. Bringing in Mario Cristobal is raising the bar. Reaching the ACC championship game and losing, much like how Oregon reached the Pac-12 championship game and lost, will be viewed as a disappointment. This is going to be a Miami program that is saying, with the hire of Mario Cristobal, we want to be competing for national championships. And so while Mario Cristobal is going to be able to bring a lot of advantages and in a lot of ways create a level up or an improvement at the head coaching position, I do also think that the standard and the expectations are also going to be raised with his arrival.
Chip, I want to piggyback off that. Dennis, he mentioned there, of course, there's a standard now that you have your head coach in Cristobal, and based on what you saw in the Pac-12, you want that to translate to Miami, but a step above that. If you're looking at this program, we know that Clemson has been the king of the ACC. How far off are they now with Cristobal at the helm?
How far is Clemson off, or how far is Miami?
Miami is off from Clemson.
It's a lot like the Pac-12 right now. Clemson obviously is a juggernaut, but they do lose Brent Venables. We don't know if Tony Elliott. I mean, how about this? Their offensive coordinator, irony of ironies, maybe Tony Elliott ends up as the new coach at Oregon. I've already seen his name floating around. But this showed a vulnerability in Clemson this year, going 9-3, and you can't do everything forever. Maybe there's a bounce back, maybe there's not. But this strengthens the ACC, much like Lincoln Riley going to USC strengthened the Pac-12. And by the way, I think Lincoln Riley's probably licking his chops today, saying, okay, my job just became a teeny bit easier without Oregon in the way. There's a dominant program in the Pac-12 for now. But no, he's got a chance. As I mentioned earlier, look, it's the ACC. Wake Forest played for the ACC title this year. There's no reason why Miami can't be in there. And there's no reason why at age 51, about the same age, maybe a little younger than Dabo, he's got that energy. He's got those recruiting chops, and he will go all over the country, not just South Florida, to find players. And Miami will play with a physicality that we haven't seen since the glory years. That's what Oregon did. I keep coming back to that Ohio State game on September 9th. They went into the shoe and physically dominated the Buckeyes. I know it was only a 7-point game, but that was the takeaway. Not just the upset, but the way they ran the ball and ran it down their throats. You're going to see that, sooner or later at Miami.
Yeah, if this Miami team can take on that identity of winning in the trenches, of being able to beat you up with the physicality, eliminate your will to compete, another classic Nick Saban line right there. Then all of a sudden you've got the bonus of skill position talent that Oregon didn't have. It is difficult to get the kind of wide receivers to Oregon that you're going to be able to get at Miami. Listen, Travis Dye was a fantastic running back, and he ran hard, but compared to a Jalen Knighton, the freshman running back who the Hurricanes have right now, it's just totally different. And so I think that there is a possibility that we see this brand of physicality mixed with the speed and skill that has always been available in bunches throughout the state of Florida, and especially in South Florida, that this Miami team can start to make jumps. Let's start locally in the ACC Coastal Division. North Carolina, a lot of hype, but has yet cashed that in under Mac Brown with an ACC championship game appearance. Virginia Tech is starting over with Brent Pry. I would say Mario Cristobal clearly has an experience advantage and a success advantage as a head coach over Brent Pry. So I think immediately we talk about the Miami Hurricanes competing for ACC Coastal Division titles. But the question about Clemson really has to do more with Clemson, about whether with the replacement of Brent Venables, with the turnover that this team has had, whether Clemson is going to just be the best team in the ACC or whether Clemson is going to be one of the best teams in the country. Because the best team in the ACC this season was between like number 10 and number 15 in the entire country, not in the top 5. We're used to Clemson in the top 5. And so the Tigers are really going to determine how long it takes. If Clemson is back at operating at peak efficiency after all this turnover, it could take 3 to 4 seasons before the Hurricanes are there. But if Clemson falls back to the pack just a little bit, Miami could be competing for ACC championships sooner than expected.
Something we got to wait and see, of course, until next season, how that pans out there for Miami. Let's go back out west for a second, because Oregon, they don't have a head coach now, Dennis. If you look at it, they have some deep pockets, though. Could they make a big splash, maybe get some of those big names? I know Tony Elliott is not a big name out there, but there's some names, maybe a Luke Fickell, maybe pry him away from Cincinnati if you're looking trying to make a splash here for the Ducks. Where do you see them going with their head coach?
Yeah, Luke Fickell's not going to Oregon in the middle of a playoff run. And if they wanted to wait for him, I don't think he wants to wait for Oregon. He's entrenched. I think the message he sent by not going to Notre Dame and some of these other jobs is I'm going to stay here, build something special. We're going to be in a Power 5 league in the Big 12. And that's completely out of his culture in the West Coast. I got a name for you. How about Chip Kelly? I don't know how he left it at Oregon. He went to the pros. He didn't go to another school. He went to the NFL. He sort of turned it around at UCLA. I mean, given the way that Mario Cristobal left, would this, can you get the band back together at Oregon? It's going to pop up right away, and he's going to have to address it. I think he's on line for an extension after going 8-4. It was kind of a shaky 8-4. Didn't really notice it, but they were better this year. And so what is his relationship with Phil Knight? I don't know that, but I think he's the number one candidate right now. He's still young enough. He's still got his chops. He knows the lay of the land. It's just a question of, are they interested in a situation where we're 9 days before the early signing period? Of all the craziness that's gone on to this point, would that stun anyone? Not me.
Not at all. I think Chip Kelly's a sensible hire, and I think that would be a good place for this Oregon program to land, especially considering that Chip Kelly was able to deliver under pressure. I mean, there is no doubt that there was a lot of pressure on Chip Kelly before the season, And then in the middle of the season, when the Bruins went on a little bit of a skid and we weren't even sure if UCLA was going to be able to get to 8 wins. But sure enough, I think what Chip Kelly was able to prove closing out the season strong, especially with that resounding win against the Trojans, that the investment that UCLA had made and the requests that he had made, the $1 million meal table, all of the extra food and nutrition investments that UCLA had made. He was able to give some examples of that. But Chip Kelly, with a limitless set of resources like you have with Phil Knight at Oregon, I think that he would jump at the opportunity, and I think the Ducks would be in pretty good hands. Elsewhere, I think you got to look at Justin Wilcox. He is going to be another name where no, Cal has not had a successful season this year, but very well regarded. Andy Avalos might be a little bit too soon to pull him from Boise State and go ahead and bring him back to Oregon. But there are certainly a number of coaches that are going to be interested in this. Again, because of Mr. Knight. I mean, Phil Knight and the Nike resources make Oregon very, very attractive. And I think if Chip Kelly ends up going there, we can all like high five and talk about our memories of, what was happening at the beginning of that run. But the reality is, with what he was able to do at the Bruins, slowly building with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, trying to improve each year over year, and then finally being able to have that 8-4 season this year, he seems like he is, I don't know about at the top of his game, but certainly not out here just wasting money, falling short of expectations.
I mean, you never know. Lane Kiffin's another name out there. I'm just stirring the pot here, fellas, to see. You never know. He may be out to Oregon. That'd be interesting to see Lane Kiffin, the Lane train out west. I don't know, Dennis. You like that? No?
I think he's about to sign, or I think I just read he did sign a new extension with Ole Miss. But again, what does that mean to anybody anywhere now?
It's just money, just paper, apparently. All right.
Mario Cristobal had a reportedly 10-year, $85 million deal on the table. If that's true, what is Miami paying him? I can't wait to see that contract.
We're still waiting on that. Chip Patterson and Dennis Dodd, appreciate you with the breaking news. Mario Cristobal, of course, a new head coach there for the U, a homecoming for him.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.